crafting her social media presence, and she is just joining here shortly. We're waiting for her to get queued up, but yeah, so Rosy is awesome. Her brand is Living Life Rosy on Instagram, and what she's going to be talking about today, I have tagged her to join in, so she's going to be coming in just shortly, but what Rosy is going to be speaking about today is really how she has done an amazing job with growing her social media presence from just in the last 2 months alone. Rosy has done outstanding by developing awesome, fun, creative, and using a number of apps, which she's going to speak to today in just a moment, as well as how she's been able to grow her social media presence from about 400 followers to approximately 1,200 followers in just about a month and a half. So she's going to be giving some great insights and information on her level of brand influence and power with developing relationships in social communities amongst bloggers and developing partnerships and all that good stuff. So Rosy will be just joining us shortly. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your time today. We are connecting with Rosy. And I think
we're good now. Sorry
about that. We have sound.
Yes.
Woo! Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
Well, I was serving you up already, Rosy, because
thank you.
You are so awesome. I love you to pieces. As you know, Rosy is a good friend of mine who I just think highly of. I've watched her professionally flourish as a social media marketing maven, and I've watched her grow in her career. And she has just been doing a stellar job as well, individually and outside of her profession as a marketing maven and social maven. And I wanted her to come on today because what I've been most impressed about, as I just mentioned a little while ago, is that she, over these last month and a half during quarantine, she started to revamp her social media platform and really starts to take a hyper focus on how she's developing her content and building social relationships. And she has grown her following from 400 to upwards to 1,200 followers in a matter of a month and a half to 2 months. So before we take a deep dive in how she did all that, Rosy is going to give us a background about who she is, how she got started in social media, some courses that she took in college, or kind of how she did that study and where she is today. So without further ado, go ahead, Rosy, and take it over.
Well, thank you so much, Martina. Thank you, Expressions Challenge, for having me on today. So I am Rosy. I am a social media content writer as well as blogger. I went to school in Columbia College for marketing, communications, and PR. So I started doing a little bit of PR, and then that was kind of back then when social media was blowing up a little bit, but it wasn't like what it is today. So I started doing a lot of like internships, and I actually did intern for the Expressions Challenge. So that's how I know Martina, and that's how I kind of got my little start in social media. And after that, I kind of got all these other opportunities where I was able to develop my social media skills. I've been working for a couple companies representing their online presence for the last 5 years. And I recently just launched my own blog, Living Life Rosy. So that has been kind of like my career along the last 5 years. And I just couldn't be happier. I just love social media and what I do.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you're fantastic at it. I love how creative you are in producing your content. And what I do know is that we've talked about this, and you've expressed how you have started to utilize certain apps to help create and inspire your content. So let's talk a little bit about how you've utilized apps, your strategy in creating your content, and kind of like what is your focus and how you develop your focus to produce this content.
Yes. So my content, my platform is all like Living Like Rosy, looking at the Rosy side of life. A little play on my name. I just want to be very positive. And of course, with the Rosy comes the color pink, which is one of my favorite colors. So I kind of utilize that to kind of build a brand. And other apps that I use, you know, I connect with other content creators on social media, and I kind of see what apps they're using, and I play around with them myself. So some of the biggest ones that I use, first for lighting is Lightroom. There's two different versions of it. There's like the mobile version, which is free, and then there's the desktop version, which is I think $9.99 per month. But if you are a student, if you're a college student or high school student, you might be able to get it for free. So make sure you guys look into that. So that's the biggest one that I use for lighting. And then other free ones, PixArt is by far my favorite one. You could edit your picture in so many ways. You could do collages, you could cut outs, you could put stickers on it. There's just so much to play with, and that app is completely free. You could upgrade for the premium version and you'll get more access to stuff, but the free version works just fine. And then I also use photo retouch app, which with that app you could remove any unwanted like things in the background. So it's another, and you could clone things, your background as well. So those are like my top 3 favorite apps that I use.
I mean, like, you do an amazing job. So let me just reiterate for our viewers. So you utilize Lightroom between the app version, the mobile app version, as well as the desktop version. And then you utilize PicArt, which is one of your favorite. PixArt.
Yeah.
Okay. PixArt, which is one of your favorites. And then you said Photo Retouch app, which is also another favorite of yours.
Yes. And then for videos, I don't do that much videos, but when I do use videos, I do InShot app.
Oh, yes. I see that all the time. I see a lot of people utilize InShot actually for their videos, and it kind of does, like, you have the center video and then you have like a halo effect on the outsides of it.
Yeah, you could edit the sizing, and you could edit the music and everything else on there as well. So, and especially if you want to, a lot of people are doing IGTV, so that would be great for IGTV because it has a setting on there for IGTV.
Oh, that's good to know. A trick to the trade. So in case you didn't know, you can certainly use certain apps for IGTV, which is very popular. While you're talking about Instagram, what are some of your favorite go-to features of Instagram that you've really enjoyed that, you know, you think are beneficial to social influencers?
Oh, for sure. The first one, I would say hashtags. Hashtags, hands down. I think that helps my reach kind of quadruple. So do research on your hashtags. Like you do a mixture of 30 hashtags, some being with high following and then other smaller hashtags. So kind of like blend both of them in so you can have different audiences, but make sure that those hashtags go with your content that you're producing. And also avoid like spammy hashtags like for like, follow for follow. Those kind of get tagged. So definitely avoid those. So for sure, hashtags. And once you post a post, go look into the hashtag that you posted and interact with other people who are using the same hashtag that you're using.
Yep. And I'll just to elaborate on that is when you're utilizing the hashtags and when you say like, look at the quantity, generally when you open up your Instagram, what I've noticed is that if you click on or write out a hashtag and you click to see in the search bar, who is actually following that, it also shows you how many people are actually following it.
Yes, pay attention to that. Definitely do research on how many, have like mixture of hashtags are under 1,000 posts to like a few mixture of 20,000 posts, and then ones that have like a little bit of ones that have like 1 million posts or stuff like that.
Yep, it's really good. I agree. I mean, because then you populate. So like, you know, and you could attest to this, Instagram works like an algorithm, which an algorithm is essentially like searchable content or content that's searchable. But the hashtag is actually a feature that allows you to find people with like interests of yours and vice versa. People can find you based on the hashtags you use and how you come up within the feed.
Yeah, and another big thing as well is stories, like engagement on stories. like those polls and those comments, like all of that's going to grow your audience, and it's going to put you at the top of the algorithm. So the more you engage with people on your stories, the more you're going to pop up on their feed. And that's kind of how the algorithm works. Yep. So you want to engage with people. You want them to put, comments and stuff like that on so you could pop up and more people could see your content.
I love it. And I think too, what's important, we have like what I noticed as well with our followers, we have a lot of teens who follow expressions, and a number of them are looking to build their brand as a social media influencer, or they have, at least, 1,800, 2,500 or more followers. And I think sometimes they just don't know like what those implications can mean, but then they also could potentially be thinking, oh, I want to become an influencer. So what are some tips that you can recommend to them on how they could build their brand and structure it and utilize, Instagram or other social media platforms?
Yeah, the number one thing is engagement. Building a community. First, find your niche, I would say. What are you interested in? What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about fashion? Do you want to talk about beauty? You want to talk about music? So find what your niche is and make sure you're developing content for that niche. And then after that, make sure you engage with your audience. There's tons of influencers, and we all seen it, that have like 20,000 followers, but their post will get like 10 comments. And which is fine, but right now, I think if you want to partner with a brand, or you want your Instagram to grow, it's not about followers anymore. It's all about engagement. It's all about the comments that you get. It's all about people who are the reach that you're getting to your post. So it's not all about followers anymore. And if you think about it, Instagram, some pages are removing their number of likes button. So it's all about engagement. And I think once you post something, reply to every comment, go to other pages, engage with their content as well. And that's going to make them want to go to your page and be like, oh, I don't know, oh, what is she about? And then they'll go and they're like, oh, we have similar content. Let's collab. Let's do this together. So it's all about engagement. That will be the number one thing. Being genuine, and also being consistent on your posts. Like, make sure that all your stuff is cohesive, or your content talks about the same thing, or everything is informational, because you can't put 20 posts about beauty or makeup and then one post about your dog. That's just going to be like, people are going to be confused.
Exactly.
So it's all about, I think, first of all, engaging with your audience. And then once you kind of start, reaching out to other influencers, or you say niche, or try connecting with them, and then building that audience, then you are going to have that community, that sense of community, which is what's going to make you grow ultimately.
I agree with that, and I love that. Those are all great tips. Now, what about something that you mentioned and talked about briefly is the community that you've developed of social influencers. Can you tell us a little bit about how you develop this community? How did you find these people? What are some of the benefits that you gain from being in this community? And then how do you all support each other?
Yeah, so I think the number one way to grow is to engage with other influencers in your niche. And I think the biggest way to find them is on social media. Like I said, going through the hashtags, looking at bloggers, or, if that, for in my case, there are bloggers that are talking about the same thing, are using the same hashtags as you, and then just kind of seeing what other platforms they're using, or what other groups they're joining. For us, Chicago, we have like the Chicago Bloggers Association. I'm looking them up and kind of going to the events, reaching out to them, just putting yourself out there on social media and outside of social media, just going to events and just marketing yourself, I guess, in a way. So that's the biggest thing. And then once people see that you're kind of part of this community, and you support their content, they'll support yours as well. Because it's all about collaborating with each other. It's not about competing. It's not about, oh, my content's better than yours, or you're copying me. Like, it's not about that. It's building a community. How can I help you? How can you help me? And we could grow together. And that's one of the biggest things that I learned. And I think that's what makes a successful influencer grow, because everybody's just trying to make it. But if we help each other, we go grow together. It's not competition or competing with anybody.
Yeah, no, I think that that's all good advice, because I mean, I think a lot of people don't know about how to build it. And one of the things that I see that's most common with other influencers or larger scale influencers is about the approach in building that relationship, you know? So for example, what I've seen, and you can talk a little bit about this on how do you approach that relationship is, I'll see influencers post, hey, please do not just send me a DM and you don't know me and you're like, can you share my information? You know, and I think that that's very important. So how do you respectfully build that relationship to where it's kind of a team effort in sharing each other's content?
Yeah, like I said before, going to their page and engaging with their content, like reading what they're talking about, reading their blogs, reading their posts, and kind of seeing, there's a lot of people that say, you know, engage with their audience, be like, oh, I love when you mentioned this, I love, you know, I couldn't agree more with your post, blah, blah, and just making them realize that you're taking the time to read their content and to, you know, engage with them. And you do learn a lot about what they stand for, what their platform is. And then they will, you know, and they will be like, oh, you know, who's this girl? Thank you so much for showing me love. And they'll engage right back for you. And then also to send a DM and just be like, hey, I just came across your page. I love what you did with this. I love your content. I love that you share this. You know, would love to, you know, I can't wait to see more of your content. I'm also in the same platform. It will mean the world if you go and check my page out as well. We can support each other and just being like a genuine connection. Don't just say, hey, please follow me. You know, that's just not sounding genuine at all. It just making other like influencers know that you took the time to, you know, learn about them, read their content, read their platform, because that way they will probably take the same chance to do. And then there's sometimes that there's some are very busy and some get tons of DMs and they won't, you know, reply back to you right away, or they probably won't even get to it. But, you know, just, you know, keep engaging with their content, engaging with their posts, and eventually they'll like notice you, but like, oh, this girl comments on my posts all the time. Let me check her out now. You know, like just continue to kind of build that relationship gradually. Sometimes, you know, it'll happen faster than other times. But if they don't, you know, just keep on doing your own thing and exploring other avenues, other people's contents, and eventually, you know, you'll grow your own community.
Awesome. Now, what about just kind of veering or changing directions of conversation? You shared with me that recently you did your first partnership, which is huge as a social influencer. Like that's always goals. Yes. So how did you come across developing a partnership with the brand? Did they reach out to you? And I know that you can't go in detail about the brand itself, but did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? And then what was that journey and process like?
Yes. So they've actually reached out to me. There's many brands that reach out to me. And then you could also reach out to brands. I haven't really been consistent on that end because I do have another full-time job. But most of the time they would reach out to you if they're interested in your content and working with you. But not all the time the brand matches with you, you know, just because you get a message saying I want to collaborate with you doesn't mean that you should. You have to know who the brand is. You have to like the brand. I feel like people who are successful influencers, they only promote brands that they care about, that they support. You can't just, like I had a lot of energy drinks. I don't drink energy drinks. That's not me. So of course I'm not going to promote something that I don't like, or I don't, you know, that's not me. That's not my brand. And
that you don't like.
Yeah. And it's not going to go well in my feed. It's not going to, you know, people are just going to look at it like an ad. So, and that's going to make you lose followers as well. If you promote something that, your followers like, oh, she's just doing that for the promotion, and that's not right. So research the company for sure. And if you have questions, definitely reach back to them and be like, hey, I never worked with a brand before. What are your terms? What are your conditions? Can you send me a little bit more information about your campaign? What is your main goal, your product? I would like to test it out before I promote it. And most of the times they'll be like very responsive. They'll be like, yes, like, especially if they reached out to you, they'll be like, yes, we'll send you, you know, the product to try it out. Let me know if you have any questions. And then like, once you want to work with them, be like, yes, I want to work with you. I really love your product. And then that's when they, you know, you could put your own terms and conditions. What is your rate, and you know, stuff like that. You know, everybody's rate is different as influencers. It also depends on what they want you to do. They want you to just do a post? Do they want you to do a blog post? Do they want you to do like a video? Like all of that, the more you do, the more work it is. So you have to put that in consideration as well.
Awesome. Well, I think speaking on that too, have you created like a price list? Because I know that's always a question as an influencer, like how much should I charge a brand to partner with me? So what has kind of been your process, and do you have like a price list and all that kind of stuff?
I don't have a price list. And I think for every partnership is going to be different because like I said, some people might just want you to do a story or just want you to do a blog post. That's going to be way lower than if you do like a whole YouTube video, right? Or if you do a YouTube video and blog. So it all depends on what they want you to do, first of all, how many times they want you to post that. And also, like, if it's like a brand that you really like and that you want to build a relationship with, you might want to lower your price a little bit because you want them to continue working with you and build that relationship with them. As opposed, it's not all about the money, especially like, and I would say this, like, for anyone that is trying to be an influencer, it's not about the money. If you're going in it for the money, then you're going in for all the wrong reasons, because that's going to come with time. It's not going to happen right away. And it's just a whole different process. So it's not all about the money. Sorry to say that.
That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think pricing varies by the brand that you're working with and what you want to do. Because like I said, it's more important to build a relationship with the brand, build a trust, than just being like, and then if your campaign goes successful, the next time that they want to work with you, be like, oh, well, my campaign was really successful last time. So, you know, maybe, you know, I want to do something a little bit more, which is going to be a little bit more price, you know, and then you can negotiate with them. So it's going to vary by brand and by partnership that you do.
That's good. No, those are all good points too, because I do know that from what I have heard talking to other influencers who, whether it's like yourself emerging, or if they have, you know, 60,000, 100,000 followers, you know, that time that you put in up front to produce content makes a difference. But then I know also, if it's just like you're saying, if it's a larger brand that you want to build a relationship with and kind of get to know, then what they're going to do is they're going to create a pilot campaign and then demonstrate the results. So then that way you could, you know, get paid the next go around, or when you're pitching yourself, if it's that process. So that's awesome. Now, what about from the standpoint of,
but also, sorry, one more thing I want to say is know your worth too. Don't lowball it too much, because you are putting in the work, and it is a lot of work being a content creator. So don't lowball it either.
I agree, because, and let's talk about that, right? Like, let's say,
and one of the,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah. One of the things I would say, if you're in the midst, ask other people in your niche, kind of like do research and ask, like, kind of like, you know, have you worked with them before? And people, like I said, if you build good relationships with people, they will help you, or they'll like push you in the right direction. And there's also apps that that could help you figure out your rate based on your engagement. Like, they'll take your Instagram engagement or your blog engagement, and they'll be like, you're worth, this should be your rate. But that's only like a kind of like a take it with a grain of salt type of thing. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, because you have to think about, if you're producing, for example, a YouTube video, you have to not only think about the time of structuring your story for that content as an influencer, then you also have to factor in the time that it's going to take for you to record the video with the product. Then you have to take into account editing time for that video, and then launching it. And then you want to factor in some capacity that you figure out on your own, your follower value and response or engagement rate. and the metrics that they're also paying for, the brand is paying for to gain that publicity from you as an influencer.
Yeah, so
So
it's a lot.
it is. It's a lot of work. Like, it's not just kind of turnkey, or it's not just, oh, I did a quick post, because that's not what they're paying for. They want
Yeah.
quality in the content. So I think that you bring up great points there. Now, what about people who are, whether it's teens or some of the followers that are chiming in and checking in today? What is some advice that you want to give to them of just like how to get started and tips?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is kind of figuring out what your niche is. Like I said, being consistent and figuring out what you want to talk about. What, is it music? Is it beauty? Is it a food? Like, what is that one thing that you're passionate about, that you're going to be talking about? And then once you figure that out, recognizing who your audience is and building a community with your audience. That will be the second part. And then just engaging, and also being consistent with your posts. So making sure that if you have like a theme going on with your Instagram feed, making sure that everything looks cohesive. If you use the same filter and everything, the same logo and everything, just making it look nice and appealing. So when people visit your page, they'll be like, oh, that is Living Life Rosy. They recognize you right away by the way your feed looks. So just being consistent, building an audience, and then discovering what your niche is. And sometimes it grows by time. Sometimes you start out with one niche and you figure out that's not really what you want. So it grows with you.
That's awesome. And then last point is authenticity. You mentioned that earlier, and I think that ties into with how to develop your brand as a social influencer. So can you elaborate more on the importance of being authentic to your brand?
Oh yeah. I think that is like the biggest key. Like, people could tell right away if you're not authentic on social media. You have to be yourself, and you have to like talk about things that you're passionate for, because then that is going to make you want to produce more content, and that's going to make people want to connect with you. If you're not really passionate about something and you want to label yourself as that, it's not going to work. So talk about something that you're passionate with, and then the more that you like get into it and be passionate about it, it's going to be fun, and it's not going to seem like a job. So just be genuine. Your audience is going to see it, and you're just going to be able to build more of a better relationship if you are genuine with people.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I know our followers do too. Can you give people your details on how they can follow you on Instagram?
Yes, so you guys can follow me on Instagram at Living Life Rosy. So that's Rosy, Rosy. And also my blog, livingliferosy.com. My email's on there as well. Feel free to DM me, message me. I want to be a source of information to anyone that would like to know more about what I'm doing. If I could help you in any way, I will.
Yes, and I'll add to that that she does really great tutorials on how to utilize some of these apps that she shared. So be sure to follow Rosy at Living Life Rosy on Instagram, and you can check out her blog post to learn more at livingliferosy.com. So thank you so much for your time today, Rosy. We really appreciate you. Have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Right.